Hi. Okay. Before I I have a few things that I need to do before I get started. It looks like there's about a 30-second delay. So I am managing that on my end. But I wanted to let me do so that's unlisted, so I don't have to do that. Let me share the link with my Patreon and then I'm going to get started. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I have been wondering how I am best able to disseminate information because it's very difficult to get people in the same place at the same time. And there's not, you can't, there's no way that you're able to do that. So I am starting to have to record and then just disseminate, and then people can watch it on their own time and do that. So it's been a lot, and I'm going to update you on all of that in just a moment. So I wish I had some nice elevator music or something to play, but I don't. Okay, how do I find this link? Where is it at? Okay, here it is. All right, so Dream Talk. Dream Talk. All right, so I think that I did that correctly. So let me come back over here. Whew, it's a lot of tech steps. I didn't realize how many tech steps there are in this type of work until I've had to help people like set things up. It's a lot. All right, so that is good. And YouTube, awesome. Okay, so hi. Kimberland here, Kim, depending on where you know me from and in what context. So, like I was saying earlier, I wanted to do a update meeting, dream talk type of situation. And I feel like I will probably need to do these more frequently because there are a lot of things that are happening and moving and things are shifting every single day. You all know I live outside the US and I have not often been tapping back into the news cycle, but when I do, I constantly see that there is copious amounts of chaos and confusion and outrage and panic. And it's a lot, that's happening right now. So there are a lot of people that are strategizing kind of behind the scenes to help and support and do these things. So for me, that's always been the type of work that I have done. whether that be out loud or behind the scenes as advocacy work. And usually it was in the area of educational advocacy because that is what my job was as a school improvement specialist. And I did that work up until I had my mental health crisis. So I'm not sure where you have joined me in my journey, and it is very possible that you may not know some of these things. So I want to kind of just give landmarks to kind of bring everybody up to speed and make sure that everybody is on the same page. If I'm talking about something and you're like, I had no idea, I would invite you to go and peruse my YouTube page because I've been talking about a lot of this stuff and the way that algorithms work. They don't always amplify the things that of people that you know, or they don't always amplify things that have to do with the betterment of us as Black people, and definitely not of us as Black women. So, having said that, and knowing that there's a lot of, how do I even say? There's a lot of intentional and strategic, that's the word I was looking for. There's a lot of strategy that has to be employed. And yeah, so that's what has been happening. Okay. So anyway, so let me connect the dots of what happened. So I left Florida in 2019. I was working education in Hillsborough County, Florida. That is the seventh largest school district in the United States. There were things that I saw there in Florida and things that I experienced that political targeting, threats to my life, to my livelihood, all of that kind of stuff started happening back in 2019 in Florida. And well, it's actually started in 2017, but it came to a head in 2019. Then in 2020, I left Florida and I moved to Pennsylvania. And when I was working in Pennsylvania, I was working on behalf of the Department of Education with an organization called Chester County Intermediate Unit. I was working as a school improvement specialist, specializing in school climate and culture, which means that the conversations that I was having during those times were conversations about equity and culturally competent schools and respecting differences in students with disabilities and teachers. And that was the work that I was doing. Because I am an activist and because I am who I am and because I ask strategic questions and because I actually care about the work that I'm doing, I started to uncover a lot of discrepancies and a lot of things that were happening at the state level in Pennsylvania. There were millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that were being spent to say that schools were being improved. However, there was a strategic effort behind the scenes where they were not the mission was not to improve schools. The mission was to maintain the status quo. The mission was to ensure that Black students, students of color, students with disabilities continue to fail, continue to be disadvantaged. The mission was suppressing teacher voice, specifically teachers of color and Black teachers. Suppressing principles. It was a lot. It was a lot. And in uncovering all of that information, I became the target of a campaign to stop uncovering and stop asking questions about all these things, basically. So at the time, I wound up diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and PTSD, as well as placed on medication. And I had 3 mental health specialists. So all of that was going on in 2020, 2021. In April of 2021, I took a trip to Medellin, Colombia in South America. On that trip, I made the decision to leave the US and to live abroad. I went back to the States at that time. I sold all my stuff and I left the US October 9th of 2021. As far as the job was concerned, it was a grant funded position. So all of a sudden The spaces weren't needed for this work. They were restructuring. They were doing something different, which, by the way, with this particular grant, they had done every single year. So they restructured. Some people were offered new positions. I was not. So I left. During that time, I lived in Mexico. I started out in Playa del Carmen, and then I moved to Mexico City. I lived in Mexico City until December of 2022. Just before I left Mexico City, I started my YouTube page and I started talking about the different things that had happened. I started showing videos of the things that were happening in the meetings that I was sitting in and during the targeting campaign that they had against me, but also sharing context and information about the millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars that were being wasted because they were not improving any schools. So I started talking about that on the YouTube page. And because of that, the people in Pennsylvania were very, very upset and started launching a campaign to get my YouTube page taken down. Now, granted, I have the right to speak about and to show every single thing that to record. I have the right to do that because I asked for permission to record before I recorded. But also, what I did not have was the time, the energy, the brain capacity to keep fighting all these legal battles. Fine. So they took two of my videos down and they said that in any future videos, I needed to blur faces. And that's what I did. So I finished that series. It was 7 episodes. And then during that time, again, the attacks was still happening. I was fighting for my page and all of that. In that time, I decided to leave Mexico City and to move to Colombia. So I came here to Colombia in December of 2022. And so I lived here in Colombia. I did not return really back to my YouTube page. I started changing the type of content that I was posting. My content became very much about finding joy and finding a calm nervous system, if you will. I also started certifying a group of life coaches. So I was involved in that. July of 2023, I was offered an opportunity to return back to the US, to go to Miami to conduct an interview with Dr. Joy from Therapy for Black Girls. When I took that trip, I saw the ugliness of the US. Now, again, this was in 2023. So this was still during the Biden administration. We had not had the turnover yet. But the way that I saw people being treated, how difficult it was. So, mind you, my life is in Colombia now. So, my phone is in Colombia, like my life is here in Colombia. So, I couldn't even like get away from my phone to work. Like there wasn't really Wi-Fi, wasn't really accessible the way that people talk to you. And I spoke the language, I speak the language, and I'm from there. And it was difficult for me. So I was only imagining what that felt like for people who were coming into the country. I saw an older Hispanic lady in a Target just getting treated so poorly. I saw a man get arrested outside of Target. Like it was just a lot that was happening on that trip. So after that trip, I took a trip to St. Martin for Beautiful Brown Girls, and then I returned back to Colombia. When I got back to Colombia, it was around July 19th, 20th, something like that, of 2023. I was offered another contract to go back to the US to do some professional development. Those contracts were in Indiana and Kentucky. I didn't know it at the time, but my brain was really struggling with understanding and trying to process. Because again, I told you the type of work that I do. And this particular company, that is the type of work that they had forward was equity work. So now I am having to go back to the US. I didn't have a license, which is another long story. It had gotten stolen one time in the US. So I was going to have to get a lot of Ubers and be in a lot of different Ubers in Indiana and Kentucky. The song Try That in a Small Town had just come out. And basically, that is about sundown towns that I know are very much still a real thing. So I had a panic attack and then a subsequent mental health crisis in July of 2023. After that, I wasn't able to work. So I didn't work for a long time after that. And I also had to leave Colombia because I wasn't working and I had to go back to Mexico City. When I got to Mexico City in December of 2023, yeah, man, that was a year. When I got back to Mexico City in December of 2023, I I wound up understanding that I'm also neurodivergent. So neurodivergent meaning autistic, ADHD, OCD, as well as PTSD, anxiety, depression. And I started to learn more about my brain. I was working with a trauma specialist as well as I found a psychologist. I returned back to Colombia in February of 2024 and have been living here since. And I've had to leave a couple times to go to Panama so that I am able to reset my visa and return. Having said all of that, I am also filing for asylum here in Colombia. That does not mean that I'm giving up my citizenship, but what it does mean is that I cannot travel back to the US for at least 3 years. And it also means that I would be seeking safety and refuge here in Colombia. That means that the government would provide me with certain opportunities because I am a refugee. So that means like access to healthcare, education, the ability to open a bank account, some of the things as an immigrant, just a regular immigrant, I'm not really able to do. So that will open up a lot of doors for community and opportunity to be able to actually establish a life here in Colombia, which is my intention of what I would like to do. I'm looking at my notes over here on the side. Let me move them over here so I can make sure I cover all the points. So, because of and let me just pause here and say, so I had my first asylum appointment the other day, and I'm meeting with the attorney who is handling my case as well as a translator. And it's really, really interesting to have to explain to people what it is like to be Black in the United States when their idea of the US is very much shaped by TV. And of course, the US is not publicizing the way that they treat us in the country. So it's you have to like source information for context. You know, I had to find the video to show them about the January 6th riots, the insurrection. And they were like, well, why are you showing us that? And I'm like, because this is what it's like in the country. These people are now empowered to be able to walk around and harm Black people. And I am a Black person who is an activist, who is very vocal against the atrocities that are happening. It's like, it's a lot of energy to have to explain that. So that's what this appointment on Monday. For the record, today is Sunday, April 13th, 2025. But that's what the appointment tomorrow is about, is contextualizing that. So it's really interesting to have to explain that because in their mind, Hollywood, things are fine. It's the place everybody wants to go, you know, so it's interesting. But anyway, because of the asylum situation and just because I get like these weird messages sometimes and like just basically people just being like, girl, you need to shut up. I kind of need to go underground with a lot of the things that I'm doing because it all leads back to me and all of that leads back to activism and all of that leads back to things that are now illegal in the US. So that means, but because I have to go underground, I can't be as visible. And if I'm not as visible, that means that I am limited in my reach. And if I'm limited in my reach, that means I'm limited in the type of money and income that I can earn. So while I am still in my recovery from burnout, from a mental health crisis, from whatever label that is placed on it, I am also hyper aware of the fact that there are so many other people like myself who are trying to navigate and trying to understand and trying to get out and trying to calm their nervous systems. So I wanted to give you all an understanding, if you will, of where I have been and what is happening so it'll make sense for what is about to happen in the future. So I have a few different projects that I am working on. And let me be upfront with my ask. What I'm going to ask of you is I'm going to ask you to invest in what I am doing. That investment could be $2. That investment could be $200. That investment could be no dollars. And that investment could be time. It could be volunteering time. It could be lending me spaces on your platforms. It could be sharing. So there are so many different ways when I say to invest. But what I really mean is to invest in what I am doing. So my story personally, but also what I'm trying to do for other people. That person may be you, or it may be somebody that you are destined to cross paths with because you can get them to me. Before I started this, I wrote down 2 affirmations. And the first one said, "The people who love me will show up." The second one says, "The people who need me will find me." And I have been racking my brain just trying to figure out how I can help people to find me because I know that I am able to help. And I also know that I have to move very differently and very strategically with the things that I do and the things that I talk about publicly versus the things that I talk about behind closed doors. So that means that I have to be much more strategic in how I am networking with others and how I am utilizing the platforms that I have and the ability to collaborate with other people. So, having said that, let me tell you about the first project. So, hold on. All right. So, the first project is called the Sunflower Path. And if you've been following me at all, anywhere, you have seen me using the sunflower. And sunflowers represent a few things. First of all, yellow is my favorite color up until going to Panama at the beginning of the year, and I'll talk about that in a second. Um, I was wearing my yellow glasses, but they got damaged while I was in Panama. So, anyway, yellow is my favorite color. It makes me happy. It reminds me of the sunshine. It brings me joy. Yellow feels like the sun. It feels like the light. It feels like walking toward where God is. Yellow sunflowers are also the symbol for invisible disabilities. And as somebody who looks perfectly fine and great and amazing on the outside, on the inside, there are a lot of things that I'm healing from. It's interesting because I'll say often, like, I didn't like the physical ailments. That hasn't really been my plight in life. I haven't had a whole lot of physical issues and always having to go to the doctor and like all that kind of stuff. That hasn't really been my life. But regarding my mental health, there has been so much that I've had to fight through. And so much of which was just not my fault. And it was things that happened to me because of people that chose not to honor humanity. So, anyway, I feel like I'm becoming more and more vocal of an advocate for those who are dealing with things that are not as in your face and you can't see it of what someone is carrying in their spirits or in their bodies or in their brain. So sunflowers have become a symbol, a very important symbol for me. And the first place that they really started showing up was in my efforts with Finding Peace Abroad. So Finding Peace Abroad is my website where I help people strategize about how to get out of the US. And I'm about to start again offering information sessions for people to come and ask questions specifically if they are looking to come to Colombia, but where people are able to come and find community and find safety. There are a lot of large platforms that are out there that do the same thing. And what I will say is to be spirit led. If you feel like the energy is off, it is. And that might be in my direction, that might be in somebody else's direction. But if you feel like the energy is off, it is. Look for people that have the same frequency as you so that you can ensure that your process is honoring what you want it to look like. So I'll tell you a little bit about what it looks like for me. I am very, very, very aware of my privilege as a US citizen. I am very aware of the fact that the money that I am able to bring in, though I don't have it necessarily in my hands at any time, but the amount of money that passes through my hands is on a much different scale than people that are here in the country. So, because I know that, I do everything that I can to make sure that I am adding to the country and contributing to the people, whether that is teaching English or whether that is partnering with someone to do a language exchange or using my skills to help someone think through how they can tap into the US dollar. It's important to me to do that because I realize that my being here makes things a bit more difficult for people who are already here. So I want to offset that, right? That is not how everybody talks about being an expat or being an immigrant. Everyone doesn't do that. You may talk to people and they may tell you, you know, you paying $2,000 a month right now for your rent. If you pay $2,000 a month here, you will be able to have a penthouse suite overlooking the mountains and the rivers and the brooks and the valleys. Yes, that is very true. And also, you could live a much simpler life and do something more impactful with that money. But again, everybody ain't on that, right? So I am looking for people that are on what I'm on, people that are looking to ethically immigrate somewhere else, people that are looking to honor humanity when they get there, and people that are willing to make changes in their lives in order to honor the community that's here. For example, I'm trying to be more intentional about going to the market as opposed to using grocery stores. Because when I go to the market, then I'm able to give my money directly to that farmer who has grown that food directly out of that ground. As opposed to going through to the supermarket, though it is more convenient, it is also more expensive and it's not organic. That food may have gone to different places. And I've been watching a lot of things on distribution routes. It's been really interesting. So I don't want to go all the way down that rabbit hole. But anyway, my point is I try to be intentional about investing into the community that I'm living in. My urge is for anybody who is aligning with the types of things that I'm saying, that those are my people. Okay. So if people like, I want to go there and I want to turn up, that's not somebody for me. I can't do nothing with that. Okay. So I wanted to put that out there. But anyway, finding peace abroad was the first thing that kind of came off the ground with the sunflower path and knowing that people are ready to go. So in some of the Facebook groups where people are talking in some of the expat groups and all that for the different countries, people are actively coming in like, hey, I'm trying to get out of here. Like, how do I do this? So what I do is I do one-to-one strategy sessions with people and I help them to get out of the US in as little as 90 days. So I have helped people relocate to here to Colombia, to various parts, to Mexico, to Croatia. Where else did I have somebody? To Thailand. So there is a network of us that help, right? And so I help you create your plan, but also I may need to connect you to somebody else because they're more an expert on that country. If I don't know what happens in that country, I can't answer those questions, but I can tell you what questions you need to ask. So that's the part for me that I help with the strategy. So it doesn't matter where you are trying to go, you're coming to me to help you with your strategy. So that is finding peace abroad. That is only a small piece of the sunflower path because the other part of the sunflower path is the healing circle. So the healing circle is another free way for people to be able to come and get support. And when I say people, let me be specific in who those people are. So the healing circle is for Black women and people who identify as women, Black women and femmes who are experiencing burnout, recovering from burnout, processing neurodivergence, and or looking to get out of the US. The healing circle is a place where we are able to come and hold space for each other. So I had my first healing circle last Saturday, and among the people who were there was someone that I went to high school with. And I was so excited to see her, and I have been thinking about her. And it was so beautiful to be able to hold space for her in her current situation. She had just had something happen that day and was processing it. So we were able to do some somatic exercises and process some of that energy, because it is a lot of energy. And that's one of the things that we do, unfortunately, and we learn to do, is when a lot is going on, we get really, really tense and we hold that energy in our body. For example, when I did my Asylum appointment, it was 3.5 hours long. When I got out of this chair, I felt like I had been working out. Like my thighs were sore and I had to stretch. Like it was a lot because I was tensing my muscles for 3.5 hours straight. So we have to have intentional time to be able to release that energy out of our body. So last Saturday, we learned a couple of somatic exercises that we can do to help us to move that energy and help us to get that out of our bodies so that we're able to calm our nervous system. We were also able to talk about what it feels like to connect back to your body. In the future, we're going to talk about our brains. Brain research is something that's really important to me, and processing how trauma shows up in our brain function. So I was sharing during that time, I said, during this time when I was living in Pennsylvania, I had started stuttering. So I was having a lot of difficulty writing and I was having difficulty typing. So I had started recording myself and I noticed I started stuttering. So I would have 30-second delays in what I was trying to get from my head to get out of my mouth. Well, that's because when our brain is in a state of survival mode, the only thing that our brain is trying to do is to keep us safe. And the part of our brain that is responsible for connecting thoughts and even our hippocampus, which is where our memory center lives, all of that is shut off. All of that. So your executive functioning, your ability to be able to access creativity and learning and fluid movement and motion, all of that is cut off. It is literally survived. So I was able to share that during the circle. And one of the ladies was like, that happened to me. Oh my God. I had made appointments with a neurologist. Like I didn't know what was wrong with me. So it's like, yeah, that's a manifestation of trauma. So the healing circle is a chance for that to happen in a space I'm creating. Now, because of that, because of the sensitive content, it's not something that I'm like really, really publicizing, because I have to make sure. So these are the rules with the healing circle. You have to turn your camera on to verify that you are indeed a Black woman. You have to register before you come. And that makes sure that I can weed out any things that might happen. So remember, I've been doing this for a long time. So when I used to work with beautiful brown girls during 2020, during COVID, when everything went online and people were doing all the Zoom bombing, I anticipate that type of stuff is going to start happening again, because there's a lot of targeting that's happening, right? So I need to have as many layers of security in place as possible so that people are able to feel safe in coming and sharing if they choose to. Once you verify your identity in the healing circle, you do not have to share. Space is held for you to share if you would like, but you don't have to share. You really can, it can be a place where you just come and receive. You don't have to give anything. So it happens every other Saturday. And if you go to tinyurl.com/Black Women Healing Circle, and of course, I'll put that information into the description box so that you're able to share this as well as maybe use it for yourself. But that is how people register. And again, when I say people, Black women and femmes, those are the people that I'm talking about for the healing circle. Once someone has entered the healing circle, what it does is it gives them access to the WhatsApp group. And in our WhatsApp group is where we are able to share more information and really support each other. This is a place for us to share YouTube videos and memes and resources, and just to check, like just to call for a spirit check at whatever time, and just kind of hold space for what might be happening. So you have to come to the healing circle to be able to have access to the WhatsApp group. But once you get access to the WhatsApp group, now you get access to the people and the other people that are part of the healing circle. So both of those things are on the sunflower path. Okay. And there's one more part of it that we're working on, which is the Healing Hub directory. And that's in conjunction with Heal That Shit, which is one of my podcasts with my best friend, Bianca. So what we are looking to do is we are looking for people who are willing to be sunflower approved, if you will. So the icon of access is the sunflower. But these are people that are saying, I would like to support people who are in crisis. So people that are in burnout, recovering from burnout, processing neurodivergence, trying to get out of the US, like what have you. So what we're looking to create is a directory of mental health specialists and professionals, doctors, pharmacists, farmers, people from all walks of life that are able to help us to learn how to be more self-sustainable. What is happening right now in the United States in particular is the tariffs, the trade wars, all of that is affecting who? The most marginalized. And who are the most marginalized? People that look like us. So what they have done is they've taken the access to farmland, they've taken away the knowledge of how to grow food. They have divorced us so far from where our food comes from that if we see dirt on our lettuce or on our carrots, we think, ugh, this is dirty, as opposed to this just came fresh out the ground. So there's a lot of reprogramming and things that need to happen for us to be able to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. So those types of people will be in the Healing Hub directory. And it'll be, broken down into categories or whatever, but we want to have this directory so people are able to either leave if that's what you're looking to do. If you're not or unable, how you can insulate yourself and make sure that you are going to be okay during this time of however long it lasts. Because I will tell you, I fully believe that it's going to be more than 4 years. Okay. So we have to have the ability to be able to take care of ourselves. All right. So that is the first project. Again, that's called the Sunflower Path. And it comprises of Finding Peace Abroad as well as the Healing Circle. So what my ask would be, if this is something that you're like, love this, would love to be a part of it, is to help connect us to different providers, amplify this. So again, when you're talking to people, letting them know about the Healing Circle, letting them know about Finding Peace Abroad, like connecting them to me, to us, so that I'm able to find the people who are looking for me. So I'm really asking you to be a bridge, if you will, to others who might be in these spaces. And or maybe you can contribute. So if you're like, girl, throw me on the directory, bet. Okay. So these are the types of things that I'm looking for when I say investment. All right. So that is the first big project. Okay. The second big project is I am writing a cookbook. So I have been talking about Chef Ratatouille. And Chef Ratatouille is a Panamanian chef. And cooking is how we connected, and one of the things that keeps us connected. So my story with food is very interesting. I didn't realize until I was older that I have definitely had disordered eating my entire life. But much like many of us who grew up in Black homes, I was forced to eat things that I didn't necessarily like. I was threatened with physical violence. I spent many a night at the table. I've just always been very particular about what I put in my mouth, which I feel like is a good practice. You know, from young, my body was like, girl, don't just be sticking stuff in your mouth. Okay. But anyway, and mind you, we were poor when I was younger. And when I say we were poor, we weren't like food stamps poor. We were poor, like falling through the gaps poor. Like we had to go and get our food from the food bank, which was government food. Which again, I'm not going to get on this platform, but also I am. I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube lately about the US's involvement in destabilizing countries and taking over their food sources. So they talk about, even Chef Ratatouille was talking about in Panama, they have a basket that like that costs $300. And if you have this for the month, then you'll be great. But in that basket, it's not fresh fruits and vegetables. It's a lot of processed food. It's a lot of food that's just trash. But because of the trade relationships that are happening, that's what they're pushing on to the people. So it's a lot with the story of food, right? And even for myself, when I left the US, I weighed 225 pounds. I am 5'3" for context. And I look back at those videos of how much I was swollen and just like, I wasn't okay and I was doing my best to be okay, but the way that stress was manifesting, like it was just a lot. Now, granted, I don't know how much I weigh today. And also let me say, I don't be exercising like that. Okay. This is not me busting it down at the gym and doing strong woman competitions. That's not my life. Okay. Um, this has literally been by me changing the type of food that I eat and being able to have access to fresh food. So I know that there's a lot that is there when it comes to food, and I have had this journey myself. So what happened was, I had mentioned when I was here in Colombia and all of that, and I said I left a couple times and I went to Panama and whatever. Okay, so this is what happened, and I'm gonna give you the short end of it, but again, I vlog these things. So I went to Panama at New Year on New Year's Eve because I needed to reset my visa. So I had to leave to come back in a new calendar year so that I was able to have this time right now to figure out how to apply for asylum. So I go to Panama. I meet up with these Black women that were there. They were having a brunch. We had an amazing time. We all connected. It was so much. It was so great. It was so much fun. And so after that, I was hanging with one lady in particular who had come to get me from the airport. And I had met her because we did a panel discussion and we were talking about what it was like to live in our different countries. So I had reached out and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna come there for the new year, like da da da. She was like, oh girl, I get you from the airport. We got a brunch that's going on. I had a chance to go to a doctor's appointment with her. Like we was hanging out. It was a good time. So she drops me off at my Airbnb. We take a picture. I'm like, oh my God, it's so fun. And then I go to walk into the building and it was like an apartment complex. So I go to walk into the building and there were some stairs that were unmarked and I fell and bust my chin wide open. You can't really see the scar no more, but it's right here. I need to put a picture up because some people have been asking me lately. But anyway, bust my chin wide open. I'm talking about I had to get stitches and everything. Ambulance came, had to get stitches. It was a lot. 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 Okay. But anyway, she stayed with me the entire time. She even paid for it. Like because I didn't have none of that in my budget, baby. I was there in Panama on a wing and a prayer, trying to just get there, get back so I could sit down somewhere, right? So anyway, in all of that, I got my stitches, got pain medicine, all of that. I get back to my Airbnb and I had just discovered this app called Boo. And on this app, you can connect with people from all over the world and all that. So I connect with this guy and he says that he's a chef. And I was like, oh, I love chefs. My dad is a chef. Chefs are amazing. So we start talking about different things. And I realized very quickly that he is a very, very interesting person. And he's having the same type of experience with me. So anyway, I share with him that I had bust my chin wide open, all of that. I wind up leaving Panama to come back here to Colombia. We continue talking, and one day I'm sick. My stomach is upset. I've had a lot of food sensitivities. So far at this point in life, I'm no longer eating meat. I don't eat dairy. I really haven't eaten eggs for real, for real. is very dicey with that. So I'm trying to be much more intentional again about the types of things that I put in my body. So had some dessert that had cream in it, and I didn't know. So I was suffering. So he tells me to make a tea, and then he says, make this soup. So, oh, and I didn't say this. When he introduced himself to me, he told me he was a chef, an herbalist, a magician, and an alchemist. That's what he told me. So I'm inclined to believe people when they tell you who they are. Okay. So I was like, you got my attention. So anyway, I was sick this one day, and this soup that he told me to make, and soup is not a part of my culture. So I grew up in New Orleans. The only soup we really eat is gumbo or canned chicken noodle soup when you was little, when you was sick, but soup ain't really a thing. So he's like, it's really easy. I'm gonna tell you how to do it. He sends me the directions on WhatsApp. I follow the directions. I make the soup. Not only is the soup delicious, the soup was easy, and the soup made my stomach feel better. At that point, I was like, who are you, sir? What is happening here? Right. So I'm a fast forward and say, I call him Chef Ratatouille because it's really, if you've ever seen the movie Ratatouille, it's the rat that sits under the chef's hat, and it's the rat that's doing the cooking and pulling the strings and telling you what to do or whatever. As long as you are following the directions that's being told, you're doing a good job, right? So, Chef Ratatouille and I are partnering on a cookbook. And the cookbook, the title of the cookbook is Con Sazon y Amor, a journey of love, healing, and flavor. Sazon means seasoning, and amor means love. So, Con Sazon y Amor, again, is the name of the cookbook. And this is our joint venture that we are doing together. But it's not just a cookbook. Well, let me tell you that. Let me tell you what's in the cookbook first. So we are starting to have well, no, let me tell you the other part first. Okay, so it's not just a cookbook. It's a cookbook, and it's also a love story. So in this cookbook, there will be different letters and narratives from us, or different accounts, for instance, of how we crossed paths and like what was happening, as well as the different influences that we have had, as well as the different recipes that are becoming a part of the book, who donated that recipe or where did that recipe come from, and them giving their idea about it or what have you. So this is like a collaborative effort to honor what we are building here. So it's really cute, and it's turning out to be really cute. So having said that, we're in the process of doing test kitchens. And the test kitchen is for a couple things. One, because we want to make sure that the recipe is good, right? Well, I know it's good. That's not an issue, but that the recipe is easy. I have said that I don't want any recipe to take more than 90 minutes from start to finish. So, mind you, Chef Ratatouille is a chef, right? So he is very much talking about stuff is easy when it ain't easy, right? Like from as a regular person. Now, I have a little bit of experience with cooking. I told you my dad is a chef. My dad taught me how to cook, but also it wasn't like direct instruction. It was very much me watching through observation. But there are some people who don't even know as much as I know, right? So we want to make sure that it is clear and that it makes sense for someone who does not know the nuances of the steps that you would need in order to make that make sense. That's one thing. Two, that it doesn't take any more than 90 minutes. Because let me tell you something. Let me tell you what I'm not going to be doing. It's being in the kitchen all the time. Right. I'll talk to Chef Ratatouille, and he's like, oh, I was asleep in the kitchen. I love the kitchen. Sir, count me out and take me out the group chat. I don't want to be a part of that at all. Right. So it's important that it's like, okay, this is able to be prepared, but also that it's not taking so much time. This is another thing that's for me, is that it's not dirtying all the damn dishes. Okay. Because that's one of the reasons why I don't want to cook, because I'm not trying to wash all of these doggone dishes, you know? So that's another thing, is that I'm looking for in the recipes. So having said all of that, I want different people to be able to try the recipe, to be able to give us feedback, because maybe there's something that you did that we want to try that works, or maybe there's a little razzle dazzle that you put on it, so we need to be like, and you might want to add, whatever. So it gives us a chance to be able to think through those things. and also to test the consistency of the recipe. Now, I haven't said that. Let me go ahead and say this. I don't be listening, okay? Because I do know how to cook a little bit, I do not be listening. Because Chef Ratatouille will say, put 2 cloves of garlic. 2. Who puts 2 cloves of garlic in anything? Not me. Okay. So the whole time he's saying 2, I'm chopping up 6. Okay. No problem. No problem. So also, there is still room for you to be able to make this whatever you want. All right. So the test kitchens are taking place every other Sunday. And the menu is going to change because we're going to do different recipes. So, for instance, today there's one, and it's the salmon teriyaki, honey teriyaki salmon, and white rice. So that's the one that I'm working on today, and that we're going to be having a test kitchen with today. But there are several recipes that are on there. So each experience, we will decide what the actual recipe will be, and then you'll also be able to decide if it's one that you want to participate in. So what is the ask for that? The ask is for you to register to attend. So the website is tinyurl.com/con, C-O-N, Sazon, Sazon, Y, the letter Y, Amor, Amor. So again, tinyurl.com/con Sazon y Amor, ConSazonyAmor. Okay. And it is donation based right now. So all we're asking is for a minimum donation of $7, and that is to compensate Chef Ratatouille for guiding us, as well as giving us some different tips along the way. So like he has different tips about how to easier prepare seasonings and like get everything together, and all, like to help with that efficiency part. So we'll be that's to compensate him for his time and energy, and also putting up with us and me. Putting up with me. It's really me. I hope y'all be listening. I don't. But anyway, so that is the second big project of writing this cookbook, this love story, this video diary. It's exciting. It's exciting. And there's a lot more to come from that. So I want to say again what it looks like and what I'm specifically asking for when I say I'm asking for you to invest. I am asking for you to invest in as many ways as you feel like you would like, but that might be a one-time donation. So maybe you're like, I don't have much, and my money is tied up or whatever, but right now I do have this, whatever this is. And however small that is, thank you. Okay. So you can do that by Cashapp or Venmo. So my Cashapp is $Kimberland Jackson, KimberlandJackson, Jackson. My Venmo is Kimberland-Jackson. So if you're like, I'm giving a one-time donation, thank you so much. It is a help because there are immediate needs that are present right now today. So that helps. The other way, and if I had a preference, this would be one that I would bump up to the top, would be to join my Patreon. So my Patreon is patreon.com/mindingmyblack-ass-business. And what happens on my Patreon is access to real-time me. So for instance, my Patreon was invited to this family meeting. They have the Zoom link to be able to be in here to ask questions, to talk about the things. My Patreon has the ability to chat directly with me. They also have the ability to be able to get discounts, first notice. They have access to the vlogs that I am doing. So for context, the vlogs that are out on my YouTube page, like that are being released, those vlogs happened a year ago. The things that are happening right now today happen in my Patreon. So I have to do that for safety purposes and all of that. So the things that I'm releasing publicly are on YouTube, and that stuff is still available, right? And I'll talk about that in a second. But if you are willing to follow my journey and to actually support my journey, you can join my Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And I know that might not seem like a lot, but I want you to know that it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So my specific ask is $5 a month and that you pledge a year. So for the next year that you commit to $5 a month, you're able to give more again if you would like. So I have some people that give $10 a month, some people that give $25 a month, and there are additional perks that come along with those different levels. But the minimum that gets you access and into the room is $5 a month. So that is my ask again, $5 a month through my Patreon, and that you would commit to 1 year, at least 1 year of supporting so that I'm able to better predict my income. So let me tell you some of the other things that Patreon helps with. Patreon helps with production. So for instance, we just switched over um our podcasting platforms from StreamYard to Riverside. And because of that, we've actually, because we had a lot of podcasts that were going over on StreamYard. So now over on Riverside, because it is much more accessible, it's possible for all of us to have our own pro account. So I would like to pay for that. Well, I am now paying for that through Patreon. So that is about $35 a month. So that comes out of that Patreon budget. So that's an example. Or my technology, like my microphone, baby, is hanging on by a thread, and God bless it. Okay. But I need to get a new microphone that will come out of Patreon. These headphones were purchased through Patreon because I wasn't able to function. I wasn't able to be present with all of the noise stimulation. So I needed to get some noise canceling headphones. These have changed my life. Thank you to my Patreon. So if you are looking for a way to be able to support in a way that really does make a difference, it would be through joining my Patreon. So again, that's patreon.com/minding my Black ass business. This is how I would suggest that you join, that you actually go on a computer and not through the Apple store. I live, first of all, I'm a Galaxy girl, I'm a Samsung girl. Okay. So for the record. But for those of you that are a part of the Apple universe, they said that in the Apple store that they charge more and the creator doesn't get that money. So I would recommend that you go onto a desktop computer and go to patreon.com and sign up that way so that I am able to get the amount that I would get from your $5 pledge. So that is another way. So patreon.com/minding my Black ass business, a minimum of $5 and a commitment for 1 year. The next way of what that can look like is exposure. Maybe you have a platform, maybe you have a women's group, maybe you have I don't know, people, because this is the other thing. I didn't talk about this, but Discover Your Destiny is something that is ongoing. So, for instance, I have been speaking at sorority meetings as well as church meetings where women are making the decision to buy the Discover Your Destiny workbook, which is now available at dyd25.com. Okay. But the Discover Your Destiny workbook is a self-paced opportunity for you to be able to go through the journey of Discover Your Destiny. When you do Discover Your Destiny with me, it is an intensive, like 10-week course. So I am expecting you to be present. There are assignments, there's interactions, like you're doing this in a condensed amount of time. That might not fit everybody's life. So I've made it available so that you are able to go through the path at your own pace, and it's $47. So maybe you have a group and you're like, girl, come and talk to these people. Or maybe you have a book study and you all want to do it together. So there are different ways for us to be able to customize and for you to be able to support. But that exposure piece of exposing me to your audience. So sharing my content, talking about me, inviting me into those circles, right? And when I'm saying inviting me, I do mean virtually. So again, remember, I cannot come back to the US, but I can be anywhere in the world on this computer. Thank you, technology. Okay. So that is another way. All right. Also, I feel like there was one more that I put on here. Yep, it is. I'm almost to the end. So there are two more things that I wanted to highlight. So another way to support would be volunteering time. And that would look like watching and being like coming to the different podcasts that we have and interacting in the comments, right? So talking to people, sharing links, maybe, but being present at our different shows. So for instance, so you don't put syrup on your grilled cheese, we have every other Sunday at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. We also have Heal That Shit, which is we pre-record now, but we still need people to watch or host watch parties when we have premieres. So that would be a time for you to be like, yeah, I'll come to the show and listen to what y'all talking about and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. So that way is about time, right? So volunteering your time to be able to help. So again, whether it's doing comments, sharing comments, talking to people, asking questions, like genuinely being a part of it. And so to that is connected is that we are on a monetization journey on Minding My Black Ass Business YouTube page. So we are currently at, I want to say the last time let me look. I'm here in a meeting. Let me tell you. Hold on. Okay, so it looks like we are currently at 1,174 subscribers. And we did a big twerk fest when we got to 1,000 because that took forever to be able to do that. So now we're at 1,174, almost to 1,200. So shout out to us. And as far as what we are trying to do now is to increase our watch hours. So the way that it works is that your watch hours is over the last 365 days. So last year I did start posting a lot, right? So we're trying to match that and increase that. So right now we're at 2,400 watch hours and we need to have 4,000 consistently to be able to get monetized. So what we've been asking for is for people to pledge 2 hours a week to watch to help us to reach that goal. And the more people that we have subscribed, the more people that actually pledge, the more that we'll be able to increase that. So that is the mission that we are on. And again, that's absolutely free of charge. So let me tell you what that can look like. You don't even have to actively watch. You can just turn it on and go about your business. Now, I will tell you all of the content that we have on the page, I believe is a value add. So whether that's my vlogs or whether that's so you don't put syrup on your grilled cheese or what have you, like I believe that the content is worth it. But also, if you like, girl, I ain't got time for that, but I could put it on in the other room and it just be on, that helps tremendously. So if you're like, I don't have any money, like, but I still want to be able to help, this is a really great way to help. If you are like, I do have money and I do want to make a donation, and this is still a great way to help. So if you also have the ability to be able to donate time and energy, it is greatly appreciated. All right. So, man, I'm doing so amazing with time. All right. So having said that, that is all of the direct notes that I wanted to share and everything that I wanted to share in this family meeting. At this point, what I would like is for you to either in the comments or you can email me at Kimberland@KimberlandJackson.com and let me know how you would like to support, what that looks like and sounds like, right? At the very least, I'm going to ask that you like the video and that you leave some sunflowers in the comments for me because that helps. So at the very least, if you can do that, but also my ask would be that you would email me and let me know how you see yourself fitting into everything that is happening, what you might be able to do as far as donation. Also, there might be some collaborations that are out there, because the type of people that I know y'all working on stuff because I know y'all. So let me know what you're doing as well, and where you see alignment for us to be able to work together so that we are able to have community, right? Just because I'm not able to come back to the US, my heart is still connected to the country and the people who are still there. So I want to make sure that I'm doing all I can to help people to be able to experience a piece of peace, a piece of peace, and hopefully eventually a life of peace, because we deserve that. We need that. And specifically for us as Black women, we have not had that. But as Black people, people of color, we just have not had that. That has not been our experience in the US. And you really don't realize how impactful it has been until you're able to experience something different. And that is why I'm grateful that I was able to come to Colombia and to be able to have the awakening of, wow, this is what it feels like to be calm. Wow. I've been around people a lot lately and just seeing people be jumpy and kind of on edge. And it's like, wow, that's interesting, because inside of my brain, things are so calm. And it's foreign to many people because we're used to chaos and we're used to things just always being something is happening. So I'm on a mission to give people a gift of a calm nervous system and give people the opportunity to be able to woosah, if you will. So having said that, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I mentioned it a moment ago, but I'm gonna mention it again. Discover Your Destiny is a way to be able to have a pathway to understand who God is and how God is manifesting in your life at this present time. I have decided that I'm going to do a cohort this summer. I have an active cohort that's going on right now, and they'll be finishing up in May. But I want to do a cohort in July. And it's important to me because I know that there are people who want guidance for how to be able to truly connect and be able to truly center themselves. And I want to try to make that as accessible as possible. So that will be taking place this summer. And I will have some scholarships available for people who would like to be a part, but may not necessarily have the full ability. I will also be offering payment plans for people if they need to break down the cost. But if you go to the playlist that is called Discover Your Destiny on this YouTube page, Minding My Black Ass Business, you'll be able to hear people talk about their experience. Everyone who goes through Discover Your Destiny is not looking to be a life coach. Discover Your Destiny, though, is the first step if you are looking to be a life coach. So, but Discover Your Destiny is for people who are looking to build a deeper personal relationship with God, people who are looking to connect back to their bodies and to allow their bodies and their spirits to guide them, people who are looking to understand more about their purpose and to truly understand how God created them and designed them and how they're supposed to use all the pieces of their life that they've experienced thus far to be able to support others. So that is Discover Your Destiny. And again, if you want to learn more about that, you can go to dyd25.com, dyd25.com. Excuse me. And there you can find information. You can also find the workbook that is there, as well as the opportunity to book time with me. So maybe you're like, I don't necessarily want a course, but I want to do some one-on-one work. That is also possible. So go on over there and let me know what that looks like and what that sounds like for you. All right, y'all. I think that's it. I think that's all. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I'm looking forward to receiving your emails. I am looking forward to the magic that we are going to be able to create for ourselves and for the people who are connected to us. I appreciate you taking time to listen, to invest this time in what I have had to share. And I hope that we will soon be able to discuss some specifics and put some strategies in place that can help others. Okay. So, having said that, I am about to go get ready for test kitchen tonight. Again, tonight we are making honey teriyaki salmon and rice. And I'm ready. I got my appetite and I'm ready to get this party mopping. Okay. So again, if you want to be a part of the test kitchen situation, please do go to tinyurl.com/con sazon y amor. Again, that E is a Y. So con sazon y amor, CONSAZONYAMOR. And again, I will put all of that into the description box. All right. I love y'all so much. Thank you.